Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be talking about the brand new loop here in STFC for September of 2025. We're going to be talking about the brand new aggregation hostiles, how that links into this brand new building of the Recon Locus, why this Recon Locus building is so important to your progression within this loop. We're going to talk about the rewards that come from the loop, lots of things. We'll talk about crewing, we'll talk about everything. So stay tuned, let's dive into this relatively simple loop. I will say that, relatively simple, but let's just explain it, explain how it works, and help give you a bit of a kickstart on this brand new section of the game. Okay, so here we go. So let's talk about this then. So the Recon Locus is going to come into this a lot. Recon Locus is going to be such a key part to what we're going to be going about with this brand new loop. Now, first of all, let's talk about the loop itself. So the loop has its own hostiles. Now, its own hostiles are found in its own systems, and the systems that we're going to be looking at are just up here. So they are just to the south of where you find the Revenant hostiles, so up there in the Q space, continuum space, sort of to the western side of Federation space up here, this nice white cloud. You can see that the space is split up into different generations. So you've got G4, you've got G5, and then you've got some lower G6, and then some upper G6 systems. So it is split by generation, but that generation doesn't necessarily relate to your ops. It's going to come back to that marvelous building that I mentioned, the Recon Locus. It's going to come back to that, and I'll explain why in a second, because these hostiles have something brand new that you need to learn and understand how it works. Now, it's not difficult, it's not hard to understand, but we're going to dive into it today and see if we can explain how it all works. Now, I stress that you don't necessarily need to be hitting the hostiles of your particular ops level. Now, I'm going to pull up a log now of the lowest level hostile. Now, this starts at ops 45. This is geared for ops 45 people. So anybody that's sub that, this isn't really a loop for you. The refinery won't really work, and they cannot start engaging in the building until ops 45. So this is not for you. However, it's mainly towards sort of G5 and up, so 51 plus, but everybody 45 through 51, you sort of get an entry level bit of a taster towards how this loop works. So let's take a look at the very first hostile that is in this system, and we're going to take a look in the system, and we're going to pull up a battle log. We're back in 1 second. So we've arrived in Finicus. Great name. We've arrived in Finicus, and let's take a quick look in the system. So we can see very packed at the moment, and there's a reason for that. If we're just getting straight into this loop, there is a reason. So, and that's because these hostiles are going to be the easiest ones to kill. Lowest level, easiest to kill. Right, that makes sense. However, there is an element to these hostiles that is not normal, okay, and that is the fact that they have a specific ability. Okay, now they have a few abilities. So ship ability, increasing weapon damage by 5,000%, and they have a critical damage floor of 150%, meaning that their critical shots, regardless how much you've got to be able to reduce the critical damage of a hostile, it cannot go below 150%. Now this is the key one. This second ability here increases hyperthermic decay, which I'm going to explain in a moment, by 25%, and all mitigation stats by 2,400%. So the mitigation stats are big, and that can be combated with some of the research, which I'm going to explain about when we go into the rewards and things of the loop. Okay, but hyperthermic decay is a new hazard style method of dealing damage to you from this hostile. Now, it's not a hazard. You can see my ship's been there for a while. I've killed one hostile with it. There is no hazard. I am not actively losing anything. There's no hazard symbol from on the system. I mean, there's nothing like that. So if you look at the actual system map, you can see you can click on it. There's no hazard on the system. Okay, so it's not a hazard. It's hazard style. It's probably the easiest way to sort of give it another reference point to something in the game. Now, I'm going to pull up the first one of these hostiles that I killed yesterday. I'm going to pull up the battle log for that, and I'm going to show you that now. We'll pull that up with the power of editing. we have this here. So this is obviously at the very top of a battle log. You can see there round 1 of 1 is there. Obviously this is the first one, and they have got the aggregation pawn up here at the top, and it's dealing hyperthermic decay of 25%. Okay, so that 25%, that was the damage that we saw when we looked at the hostile a second ago. Now if we flick over to the other side of the log, so let's quickly flick over to the other side of the log. Same battle, round 1 of 1, but this is a pylum that I took this time. Hyperthermic stabilizer percentage 0. So you can see there that what happened was I mitigated nothing using my stabilizer. So I received 91 million in hull damage. Now if we take a look at my actual ship for that, you will see that that was the exact hull that I had. I'll throw that up on the screen now. So we can see here, look, my hull health of my ship is 365.12 million. Okay, so the aggregation dealt me 25% hyperthermic decay, which works out at 91,280,180. Then flick over to the other side, we can see, again, I've mentioned it, we've got absolutely no stabilizer at the moment, nothing with the 2 of the building. We've mitigated nothing, so we've received that full 91 million straight to our hull. So that's 365 million, 25% of that is 91,280,000, which is evidence there on a calculator for you. The math works out absolutely perfectly. Now, the issue with this, if you imagine that I'm taking 25% every single time that I take a shot, 25%, I'm only going to get a maximum of, what, 3 kills? Because you saw there that the ship was still hitting me. I was still taking a little bit of damage. So because I was taking any shot at all, it meant that I was losing more than 25% within that round. So that means that I would never ever make it to a 4th battle. So the most that I could ever kill in a hull of my ship was 3 hostiles because of that hyperthermic decay. So we need to find a way to get rid of it, and that is where the new building comes in. Okay, so the new building, the Recon Locus, which is situated here, it's quite a good looking building, quite like the artwork on it. We can see that it has got that hyperthermic stabilizer. And if you remember, if we just pull this back up, we can see that the hyperthermic stabilizer, which obviously is over on the left-hand side of the battle log, is currently 0 for this battle log. This was the first one that I ever did. But now I've managed to get my building up to level 24, which I've been able to do free to play, by the way. The sourcing in month 1 is brilliant. I'm hoping that if you're watching this further down the line, that there is going to be plenty of ways for you to make this faster. But you can get a daily drip of this every single day by engaging in the loop to progress this building. But this building is so important. So you can see here that I'm currently at level 24, and I've got a 10% hyperthermic stabilizer. 10% hyperthermic stabilizer, which means that I'm taking that 25%, I'm taking it down to only 15% on that particular hostile. So I ran and I hit that hostile. So if I pull up a battle log for this one, we will now be able to see that within our battle log, we have the 25% decay. It's still there exactly the same. If we could just move the log out of the way. There we go. So we can see we're still having the hyperthermic decay of 25%, which is on this ship. Now, obviously, it's a much larger number because I'm using a bigger ship. I'm using my Revenant at the moment. That doesn't really matter. I'm going to come into that in a second. But I'm dealing 1.8, but it's dealing 1.82 billion in hull health. Okay, because that is a quarter of my ship's hull. Just to elaborate again, we was talking about 360 million. This has got 7.28 billion, which is why those numbers are so much bigger. Because it's percentage based. It's not based on the hull of your ship is irrelevant. You'll take 25% straight away at the start of each round, which is super important. I'm going to come back to that in a second. Every single round this will happen, which is why killing it in round 1 is so important. But then over here, look, we can see that we've actually got a 10% reduction. A 10% reduction. So let's just quickly work the math out on this. So the calculator is back up. Nice. So let's take a look at these numbers. So we know that 1.8, so 182009900, we know that that is 25% of my total hull. So to find out what we need to find to get that 10%, if we divide that by 25, that's then going to give us, obviously, what 1% would be. We're going to mitigate 10%. So we actually get 10 times that. So divide by 25 to find out what 1% is, times it by 10, 728.39 and it says 600, 800, that's just lost in the noise. That rounding error, 600 to 800, it's just lost in the noise. But the math works perfectly. So we've reduced it from a 25% decay, we've reduced that down to a 15% decay. This is all that's left, okay? 15%, because that 728 is the amount that's mitigated. So if we take that 1.820099000 and we divide that by 25 to get to the 1%, and then we times that by the 15%, this will give us 1.092 billion, which is exactly right. So it's taking it away. So it's taking away 15% of my hull, okay? 15%, okay, of my hull, which is a hell of a lot. It's a hell of a lot. So when you think to yourself, you look at my battle log here, okay, I'm down, that's just one hostile I've killed, and that's just one level 45. Okay, it's just one level 45. You're not going to be able to kill many, regardless on the size of your ship. Yeah, I could come in here and I could be using my Borg Cube or my Tier 11 Crensher. You know what I mean? That's got billions and billions of hull for days. It's a G6 epic ship, well tiered. It's still going to take off that 15% worth of hull because of the way that that works. So upgrading your building is going to allow you to be able to kill more and more hostiles. Now I'm going to pull up a chart that's been expertly created by Jules Verne, Blue Mandalorian, Quasel, all the guys over there that do such a marvellous job of keeping this data up to date. We're going to pull that chart up and I'm going to show you how that hyperthermic decay scales both with the building, because it's good and visual, but also with the hostiles. So obviously that's going to be something that's super important to you. So let's pull the chart up now. Okay, so this is the chart, again, that's been put forward by the guys that I've just mentioned. Honestly, great chat. If you want access to this, there is a link to our Discord down below in the description of the video. Please join our Discord. This is the only place where Jules keeps everything 100% up to date. This is the home of Jules, Blues, Quazel's charts. This is where you can find everything to do with the game on our Discord. So please, please, please check out the comment section down below the description. You'll be able to find the link where you can get to our Discord. And while you're down there, please leave a comment on the video. Let me know what you think of this, because it's not a very difficult loop once you understand these few basic mechanics. So if we look at this, look at the side here, we can see what the level of decay is. Okay, so if we have a quick look at this little graph down the side, we can see here all the different systems. So we've got the G4 systems, which are all 25% decay from 45 all the way up to 49. All of the G5 systems are 50%. All of the early G6 systems, you can see G6 has been separated here into lower and upper. So the lower ones are 150 and then the bottom end is 250. And also as part of this chart, it's telling you what building level that you would need to get to in order to completely neutralize the decay. So to completely neutralize, okay, the 25% decay, you need 25% stabilizer, which is only gotten from your building, and you need building level number 36. In order to do all the G5 ones, you need to get to 51. Do all the G6, you need to get to 61, and then in order for you to do all of the upper G6 ones, you need to get the building up to level 67. Okay, so now we need to talk about why on earth would we want to do this loop. That's the other part of it, obviously, just to understand where that goes. We have obviously mapped all the systems and all the abilities for in there, so great work, great shout out to the guys. And you can also see that the loot does increase as you go higher into its generation. So you can see, I do like this. So the common loot that you're going to start off with, there are 4 different styles of loot, okay, and they are the 4-star, the 5-star, the lower 6-star, and the upper 6-star. Easiest way to say it, or common, uncommon, rare, and epic. They do have a grading system on there, but if you just pay attention to its common, uncommon, rare, and epic, it's probably the easiest way to describe it. So the common loot is obviously as you work your way up the common systems, which are the forties. You go from 525 per hostile, just within the hostile itself, up to 4,750 per hostile. Now this is what I love. You are not being penalized for hitting up. It's not like once you get to the point where you can start getting the G6 rare that you are no longer getting the previous generations. You can see here that it gets to a cap of 4,750 and that is constant all the way throughout. And then in the uncommon it goes from 420 to 12,000. 12,000 is stable throughout, and the same for the rare and the same for the epic loot. So that is absolutely brilliant. So it's not like it's going to be 4 loops in one for the higher players when you get your building to a level where you can take on this hyperthermic decay. That is not going to be the case. The higher you can hit, you're going to smash all of the different loops in one go. Now, there are surveys with a star, which are the loot goblins, which pay out a good chunky amount. Obviously, double. You're getting double the amount in the loot goblins. You'll see them. There's a little picture of one up there, a little 70 survey there with a star on there. And there is also the cause couriers, which are surveys that don't have a star on there, and they do also have loot in there. So the surveys, the loot goblins, are definitely something that you should go for. If you can take them out, definitely worth having. And we've seen that we've got a spawn time here, a rough spawn time for the surveys with a start at 45 minutes to an hour, and we're yet to fully source out what that spawn rate is. If you're checking this out in the future, you may find that we've actually managed to nail down what that respawn time is for these particular hostiles. Now let's talk about the rewards, and then we'll start talking about some crewing for it. So when you're going and you're killing these hostiles, they are dropping, obviously this is the common version, you're getting some common reclaimed loot. As you work up, as I've just shown you, when you move up in generation of hostile, you will then start getting the uncommon, the rare, and the epic as well. And you're then going to take them into your refinery. Now in the early days, the only thing you can use at lower levels of the building, the only thing you can use is common loot, and that doesn't change until you get to 51. Until you get to level 51, okay, all you need is common loot. Jumping back into the chart here, you can see on the left hand side the Recon Locus level all the way through to 50. You only need the 4-star loot, which is the common loot. That's all you need. And you can see it's 32,000 that you need every single day for a 22-hour cooldown. The amount that you get in the banners, which I'm going to show you in a second, does increase as you work your way through certain levels of the building, and it goes up quite considerably to 14, 19, and eventually 23,500 for that particular chest that you're going to be able to get in banners. Okay, so if we pop back into the refinery and see what we actually do with these, you're going to come in here, you're going to exchange. This is your exchange to actually get the banners. So you're changing the reclaimed loot into the banners, and then you're using the banners to be able to pull the different bundles. So this one is the most important one, your Recon Locus schematics. These are the building material to work on your building. Okay, this is to actually work on the building, because this is the key behind all of this loop. Again, popping back to the chart, we can see that as we work through buildings, the amount that you get in the Recon Locus schematics does increase slightly as well. Okay, so it does go up a little bit, going in the common area from 12 up to 30 per day. Okay, now in order for you to get up to the level 51 level, it should take you free to play from scratch. This is not if you're participating in month 1. Obviously there has been some gift chests and things with this being brand new. It should take you around 100 days to get there. 100 days to get to 51 to make the loop. That's where the loop really starts to come into its own. Think of it as like a ship. Very similar to a ship. About a 100-day grind for you to get to 51. But back in the refinery, the other 2 bundles, which are obviously appear at the moment, are your smuggled studies, which are your research particles. Now you can see I haven't pulled these, and I'll explain why in a moment when I look at what the research tree actually does. And then there's a forbidden tech claim as well, which again, I'm advising you not to care about these 2 bundles. Okay, the research is okay early doors, but let's just take a quick look at the research and I'll explain why I don't think you should be pulling the research bundle. I don't think it's super important. You are going to get maybe some from events if you're here in month 1. You may get some from some other sources, but fundamentally you want to be spending all of your stuff, all of your banners on the actual building itself, because you're not getting enough in a pull to be able to double pull that chest every day. So every time you pull something else like research dust or like the forbidden tech, you're delaying your ability to double pull that chest to try and speed up your run of the Recon Locus building. There's a brand new aggregation tree. You can see I've started this research because I got some from an event. That's the only reason. I've never pulled that chest. You can see it's less than 22 hours old, and it's still not on a cooldown. So I've not pulled that chest at all. There are 4 researches that you can unlock prior to Recon level 51. Recon Locus level 51 is needed to even open this 5th research. Okay, now, so these 4, which to be fair are piercing versus the aggregation, which all you're doing really is starting to combat the fact that they have big mitigation stats. They have good mitigation stats. So you're basically just sort of adding some piercing to try and reduce them down a little bit. So you're sort of combating it. You may find that the first couple of levels are quite handy, starting off at 1200%. Definitely do the first level if you've got enough stuff to do, because it's quite a jump. But then the next few levels aren't going to be as significant at all. Increased transigen mining speed. Your transigen forge outweighs this tenfold. It's not worth it. A 3000 boost it's just not worth it. And then there's something for the Augment XR loop as well. So the old loop working up in the new Augment space, increasing your isolytic damage against them, which might help you with that loop. It might be worth unlocking a couple, 25%. Isolytic damage is not something to be sniffed at. I will give you that. It's not something to be sniffed at, and it does go all the way up to a 500% isolytic damage boost. So it is considerable, but nothing specific to this loop. It's not something that I'm going after and being super, super excited. Until you get to 51, for me, don't focus on the research. And even then, some of the researches, in my opinion, honestly, are quite lackluster. There's some good PvP ones. There's a bit of Forbidden Tech tier up optimization, making it cheaper for catalysts and reactors for when you're tiering up your Forbidden Techs. But you can get better than that from fleet commanders. You can get better optimization of protomatter from a fleet commander. I hope you get what I'm saying. I think there's better places for you to get more out of what this tree is. I think these bonuses need to be adjusted, and I think they do. Drop your comments down below if you think that I'm missing something in the research tree that I should really be going for. I mean, yeah, come on. I mean, this extra 15% research cost efficiency for my vengeance that I'm not going to have for years. Well, hey, only joking. But I do find the tree a bit lackluster, and that is why I'm telling you not to pull the research bundle within the aggregation store. Go hard on the Recon Locus. And until you get it to 51 and you're then able to get sufficient of the barrier against the hyperthermic decay, the stabilizer, till you can get that high enough. Once you get to 51, then this is where it starts to get better. Once you get to 51, you get a full unlock of one of the brand new prototype techs, the Orion Syndicate Bomb, which is increasing warp range, ship XP gained, and reputation gains. Okay, and also base loot from non-armada hostiles. This is a decent little forbidden tech. Okay, it's giving you some good functionality in there, and this is just a free unlock. Don't pay anything for it as soon as you hit Recon Locus level 51. But you can also see here the uncommon aggregate banner exchanges. This is what you're going to exchange your uncommon loot for to be able to get those banners, and then you're going to start getting even more of the Recon schematics, which are for the building, the smuggle stew, which is the research, and then you've got the uncommon prototype tech protomatter. So this uses, even though the new prototype tech is using the forbidden tech slot, it uses its own protomatter and its own catalysts to be able to upgrade it. Okay, and it uses different rarities as you move up the levels. So uncommon, it uses rare, and then eventually it does use epic as well. And it's also starting to source things like the Hull Piercer, the Druden Sentient Missile, the Berserker Complex, and again, there's more forbidden tech stuff in there. So once you get to 51, this really, really starts to get good for you. And the Breen Energy Dampener, which you can start to exchange for your banners, you can get this in so many other places. I just wouldn't spend the time getting this from this store. All you want to be doing is doing the common loot, getting enough common loot to be able to pull the aggregation banners, and then going and getting the Locus schematics. Okay, that's my strategy on the refinery itself. I think the refinery could do with some upgrades. I think there's some more things that could go in there, more chaos techs maybe. This is also the source of one of the best chaos techs in the game, which is the stasis globe, okay, which is absolutely fantastic. They have provided sources to this, okay, and the stasis globe here, you can see I've got it on my new Grange at the moment, giving you hazard resistance to all players that can achieve it, warp speed, which is helpful, and then a hull boost as well. But this hazard resistance is really, really helping within the previous loop. And obviously people that are moving into G6, this could be an absolute lifesaver for you. Bearing in mind there's $100, £100, 100 rupee prime that only pays out 75, you're going to be able to start grinding this out. So the Siege 12 Stasis Globe is going to be convertible from your common banners, which is absolutely fantastic. You can see it's only a one chest option, takes 150 to unlock it. It's going to take a while for you to be able to do it, but we've got free to play sourcing on the C12 Stasis Globe. It is brilliant, and it would potentially be a good use of your banners. However, I'm still going to push you into working on the building first, at least getting it to something like 51 to unlock the benefits of it, and then start on the Stasis Globe. If the Stasis Globe is absolutely 100% your focus, then by all means go for it, but you are going to be delaying your progression within the loop in order to get the other prototype techs which start to unlock at 51. Okay. Let's talk about the actual loop itself then. Let's talk about crewing and how I decide to go about these. Your main key driver for these hostiles is going to be killing them in round 1. Okay, kill them in round 1, because remember I told you that the hyperthermic decay, that 25%, is going to impact you every single round. Yes, you may have stabilization, which may be able to do it, but until you can fully mitigate that hyperthermic decay, if you imagine that I had only this and only 15%, then that means that within 6-7 rounds, okay, my ship's dead on that first hostile. Or if it takes me 5 rounds to kill a hostile, I'm going to have taken, if it's 5, I'm going to have taken 75% of my hull damage just from the hyperthermic decay. So it's super, super important that you can try and kill these in 1 round, so that you're only taking 1 lot of the damage to allow you to kill multiple hostiles, because the whole key behind all of this is the loot. Yeah, you want the reclaimed loot from the hostiles, and because loot's so important, I'm going to talk to you about the way that I say to crew for every single loop within the game. The crew to crew in every single crew within the game is to start with loot. Okay, start with a full loot crew. Okay, now the best loot crew that is currently in the game is the one that is currently on my Revenant, okay, which I'm going to really quickly show you now. We just quickly repair it, get that done, and here we go. So we have got N.E. Picard, we've got Rachel Garrett, we've got 5 of 11, we've got Doc Brown below deck, Bear for anybody that wants to use his real name, and we've got the Doctor. Those 5 officers are going to give you the best loot opportunity to get them. So you think my captain, my E. Picard, because of the synergy I'm getting from Garrett, is giving me a 100%. I'm getting a further 100% from 5 of 11 on her ability. Because my Rachel Garrett is maxed, and remember, she is in the Officer Depot token store. Everybody should be maxing this officer. Absolutely breakneck speed. Don't save your tokens. If you haven't maxed this officer, max her, because you're getting 200% from her alone. So my bridge is actually paying me a 400% bonus. I'm getting a further 100% from a max Doc Brown below deck, and then I'm getting a further 50% from the Doctor. Yeah, so 400, 550% loot bonus. So I showed you obviously that how much that the hostiles had in them, and if you look at how much I'm getting, 3,866. Okay, and if you take a look at what was actually in the hostile itself, if we have a quick look at the system map, there was only 525 in there. Okay, it's massive jumps. So as you start to get higher, you're going to be able to get even more from it. Now, if you are a higher player, let's go back. Let's say you are struggling. Let's say you are struggling to kill these. Let's say you are struggling to kill these in 1 round. Okay, then what you start to do, and this is the same for every single loop, okay, you start off with a loot crew. So you start off with that crew that I've got there. Remember, because that round 1 is so important, there's an officer that we don't really use that much anymore, okay, that could become really, really useful for you. But you start to take out one piece of your loot jigsaw and adding in some combat ability. And one officer that I would like you to try, which has had really, really good results for people that have tried it for me, is Harrison. Okay, remember that Harrison's ability for the first round of combat, John Harrison ignores enter percentage of your officer of the opponent's shield. Okay, so you're doing direct hull damage, giving you the ability for that first round to deal as much physical damage to that hull. Remember, when a ship has no hull, it dies. The shield is absolutely irrelevant. So that shield bypass is a really good thing. Okay, and then the next thing that you may decide that you want to get rid of is actually Picard. Because remember, we're only getting 100% from him, but we're getting 200% from Garrett. So then you take out Picard, and then you may decide to throw another combat officer in there. Now, we've already got all of our states and things below deck, so let's think of another officer that we can throw in there. You may decide to throw Anorax in there. Now, obviously, his captain's ability doesn't do anything for you, okay? But his below deck ability of increasing your apex barrier might help you do a little bit more in terms of obviously mitigating the damage that comes from it. But it's not going to help you against the hyperthermic decay. It's not going to help you against that. So that might not be something you go for. So you might try and find a different captain, somebody that's going to offer you something even more in combat. What about Janeway? I want to throw Janeway in there so that you can get that increased mitigation. So again, you're saving yourself some hull damage, but then her below deck ability, okay, her officer ability that you're getting from her, increasing your isolytic cascade, something like that. That might be something for you to try, but your key driver here is to try and kill what you can in 1 round to allow you to kill the most hostiles while still maintaining loot in there. Okay, so it's super, super important. So try those crews. Let me know down below. Have you found a really good crew that works for you? You're struggling to kill them in 1 round with full loot. What have you defaulted to as your crew for trying to kill these hostiles? Okay, and That's the loop. Honestly, really, really straightforward. Head out to the space, kill the hostiles. You go and you refine the raw loot that you get from the hostiles in the aggregation refinery. You refine them, so the reclaimed loot of all the different varieties as you work through the recon building. You get them into banners. You exchange the banners for more building materials. You then ensure that you keep your building update as much as you physically can so that you can increase your stabilizer so that you're taking less damage from that big hello cannon right at the start. And then it allows you to kill more of the hostiles to make the grind easier and quicker for you. That's all you need to do. I hope everybody's enjoyed this. Thank you so much. Please subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. If you need anything, join our Discord, ask any questions or anything that you've got on there. Thank you for watching, and remember that absolutely everything is better with loop. Take care, guys. Have a wonderful rest of your day.